Hi, I'm Kat Northup, and this is Wine Whatevers. Today I'd like to talk about a question that keeps coming up. Isn't all wine good? Or isn't all wine better aged? And the answer is no. Not all wine is better left alone or left to its own devices in your basement or under your stairs. Only about 5% of wine is meant to be aged in this day and age. And even less than that is meant to be aged longer than 5 years. And that's a change that's come with culture. That's a change that's come with better technology for making wine. In the past, one would have to set a wine down or lay a wine down for 10 to 15 years before it was drinkable. And today, with the increased demand and our passion for instant gratification, winemakers have sort of updated themselves with the time to create products that are more accessible. And these are generally the wines you'll find in grocery stores or any small retailer shop. I would say anything under about $30 is probably pretty good to open right about the time you get home for that evening, or, no roadies. Though if you're looking to lay something down, to set it aside for maybe a special occasion or the holidays, you'll find wines that are probably upwards of $40 to $50. And they'll be good within about 5 years. There are all sorts of websites that can recommend how long to set your wine down for. And what I mean by laying your wine down or setting it down, or another term you might hear is cellaring a wine, is that when you store a wine, you want to lay it on its side so that the cork does not dry out and allow for excess air to come in and kind of oxidize your wine. There are 3 things that you want to keep in mind when aging a wine. You want to think about, well, its structure. The more tannins in a wine, the more tannin, the longer it will live. And as it ages, those tannins, and you'll see it as it does age, because the tannins will precipitate out, some of the color will come out, and form a sediment on the bottom of the bottle. You want to avoid high temperatures, because that will, in essence, cook the wine and make it taste more like vinegar, more, a hotter sort of effect in your mouth. You want to avoid humidity, because that can contribute to cork mold and taint your wine that way. And the other thing, that there haven't been too many studies on the aging effects of vibration, but it does tend to hasten the process. Now, it's not just red wines that are good to age. There are occasional white wines that are extraordinarily long-lived, like French Sauternes or Turkish Tokai. And those are very high in residual sugar and very high in acid, 2 things that white wines definitely need to age well. And as a white wine gets older, it will become darker. It'll turn nutty and brown. With red wines, the effect is the opposite. They'll go from bluish black or a super deep purple down to a lighter red or a garnet or even kind of a brown oxidized color. But the structure is different, the taste is different. If you might hear a wine called you might hear that a wine is being called tight. And that'll be really unapproachable. It'll make you really pucker up your mouth. And it's not terribly enjoyable. But give it, 5 to 10 years and that wine will have opened or blossomed and oxidized just enough so that it's fruity, it's complex, it's easier to drink, and there's so much to it that you can pair it with just about everything. As for the rest of the wines that you can find just about anywhere, that you can drink today, thanks to better technology, these wines are opening and welcome within the first hour of opening, and they'll last for, a few days if you recork them or put a stopper in. But you'll notice a difference from the very first sip you take to the next few hours. Some of them are going to be very tasty and get better as the day goes along, and some of them will fall incredibly flat. But I think that's part of the joy of this almost magical process of wine and aging wine, is that it's a living creature inside each bottle. It's a living piece of art. And some get better with age, just like people, and some turn into sour vinegar, just like people. If you want to try a neat experiment, you might try getting 2 bottles of the same wine and opening one immediately and letting one sit for a day or 2. You can compare the 2 when you open the second bottle. You might notice a difference. When I first started into my journey of wine, I was so excited to find a bottle that I could leave alone and ignore for about 5 years because I thought, man, that's what cellaring wine is. And I think, for the most part, it is, and it's something to anticipate. But that anticipation actually does have an end point. I mean, I don't want to wait for DSL to load. Why would I want to wait, 5 to 10 more years to drink something that I'm so excited about right now? But on the other side of that, the wines that you want to age for those years, for 15 to 20 years or more, are hard to find. They're usually sold off in auctions, like at Christie's or over in Europe or at any of the high auction houses in big cities, and they are super expensive. But those are often called investment wines for a reason. You're not planning to drink those necessarily. You're planning to set them aside and possibly resell them. But it's just a step. It's a step in the world of wine and aging wine, and learning more as you go, as time goes. And with any luck, we should all be so lucky to age so well.